All right, let's jump right in. We've all seen those planes, right? Just little white lines crawling across that big blue sky. And we've always been told the same thing. For an airplane, higher's better. But what if that's not the whole story? What if there's an invisible, dangerous ceiling up there? That's what we're getting into today.
And, for the most part, that's absolutely true. For a commercial jet, climbing way up into the thin, cold air of the stratosphere, well, that's the key to everything. It's how they can fly faster and burn way less fuel, which saves time, saves money, and gives all of us a much smoother ride.
Yeah, that's the wild paradox we're going to unpack. I want you to just imagine for a second that you're flying a plane with the difference between stalling and falling out of the sky, and literally breaking apart from going too fast is just a few miles an hour. This isn't science fiction. It's a very real place that engineers have a grim name for, the Coffin Corner.
So before we get into the really scary stuff, let's cover the basics. Why exactly is climbing up into the stratosphere the #1 goal for pretty much every single commercial flight you've ever been on?
Your typical flight, say on a Boeing 737 or an Airbus A320, is going to cruise right around here, 35,000 feet. That's about 7 miles straight up. And no, that's not a random number, it's the sweet spot. It's the altitude where all the benefits really start to pay off.
And the benefits? Oh, they're huge. Up there, the air is so much thinner, which means way less drag holding the plane back. That translates directly into incredible fuel efficiency. You're also flying high above most of the clouds and nasty storm systems, so you get that much smoother ride. Plus, you're out of the way of all the smaller planes, and you can even hitch a ride on the jet stream. It's like a superhighway of wind to cut hours off a long flight.
Okay, so this leads to a pretty obvious question, right? If 35,000 feet is good, why isn't 50,000 feet or even 60,000 feet even better? I mean, what's stopping us from just pointing the nose up and keep on climbing? Well, here's the irony. The very thing that helps us, that thin air, eventually becomes our biggest problem. See, lift, the force that actually holds the plane up, needs air molecules to work. And the higher you go, the fewer molecules there are for the wings to push against. So you have to fly faster and faster just to stay level. And at the same time, your jet engines are gasping for oxygen, which is also getting pretty scarce up there.
And this brings us to the textbook definition. The Coffin Corner, sometimes called the aerodynamic ceiling, is that terrifying spot in the sky where the line between flying too slow and flying too fast just disappears. It's the ultimate atmospheric brick wall.
So what is actually happening in this deadly little patch of sky? Let's break down the two forces that are literally squeezing in on a pilot from both sides.
Okay, so on one hand, if you try to fly too slow, there's just not enough air to hold you up, and the plane enters an aerodynamic stall. It basically just falls. But on the other hand, if you try to speed up to get more lift, the air rushing over parts of the wing goes supersonic, creating powerful shockwaves. This causes this violent shaking called a Mach buffet and can slam the plane's nose down into an uncontrollable, catastrophic dive. You're trapped.
And this chart, wow, it really puts it into perspective. Look at that. At a normal 30,000 feet, a pilot has a nice, wide, comfortable margin for air. But as the plane climbs higher and higher, that safe window of speed gets squeezed tighter and tighter until, at the very edge of the atmosphere, it becomes razor thin.
This quote just says it all. The legendary U-2 spy plane, it was designed to live on this dangerous edge. Its pilots had to fly with absolute pinpoint precision because their entire margin for error was just 5 knots. That's less than 6 miles per hour. Think about that. One tiny gust of turbulence, one slightly too sharp turn, and it's over.
But did this incredible danger stop us? Of course not. For decades, the pressures of war and the thirst for knowledge fueled this relentless, high-stakes race to conquer these extreme altitudes.
And you can really see the progression here. It started way back in the 30s with pressurized balloons proving humans could even survive in the stratosphere. Then, during World War II, the B-29 bomber brought pressurized cabins to combat. But it was the Cold War that just kicked everything into high gear. First with the delicate U-2, and then with its incredible successor, the SR-71 Blackbird, which basically solved the Coffin Corner problem by just blasting right through it, flying higher, and way, way faster. And just look at this machine, the XB-70 Valkyrie. It really shows you how far we were willing to go. This was a bomber designed to fly at 3 times the speed of sound, at over 70,000 feet. You see, conquering the stratosphere wasn't just about science. It was about getting the ultimate high ground, the ultimate strategic advantage.
So if the Coffin Corner puts a hard limit on most planes we know, what happens next? Well, today the goal isn't just to fly through the stratosphere anymore. It's to actually live there, with a whole new kind of vehicle.
Everybody, meet HAPS, High Altitude Platform Systems. I want you to think of them as these super lightweight unmanned airships or solar-powered planes. They're designed to just hang out in one spot, way up in the stratosphere, for weeks, months, maybe even years at a time. They're basically satellites, but they're 1,800 times closer to us here on Earth. And it's that unique position that makes them a potential game changer. Right now, we have infrastructure on the ground like cell towers that are great for cities, and we have satellites in space for truly remote global coverage. HAPS are designed to fill that massive gap right in the middle, offering constant, reliable coverage for smaller towns and rural areas that are often left behind.
And what can they actually do? Well, the list is amazing. They can beam high-speed internet down to communities that don't have it. They can become instant communication networks after a hurricane or an earthquake when everything on the ground is knocked out. They can spot methane leaks with incredible accuracy to fight climate change, conduct long-term science, and of course provide constant surveillance. This tech really matters because it could completely change how we connect and see our own planet.
So, it makes you think, doesn't it? From the very first balloons that just barely touched the edge of space, to spy planes that danced on a razor's edge, our quest for altitude has always pushed us to our absolute limits. And now, as we're finally learning not just to visit the stratosphere, but to stay there, we're not just flying higher. We might be building an entirely new layer of civilization in the sky.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more How Meets History.